after a history of failed talks between the two men, Speaker Boehner is noticeably absent from the president's new Hill outreach efforts. But will the president's decision to reach out to the rank and file end up working? Let's bring in our Monday gaggle. MSNBC's and the Grio's Perry Bacon Jr. Roll Call's David Drucker and USA Today's Jackie Kucinich. Welcome all.
Good morning.
Morning.
David, since you have the most recent interview, I think, of the three people here with Speaker Boehner, is Speaker Boehner comfortable with the idea that the president now is basically, okay, we're not doing the one-on-ones anymore, and he's going, I guess, around Speaker Boehner? Is that okay with the Speaker?
I don't think it bothers him. I think that Speaker Boehner is probably the most pragmatic Republican in the House, even possibly among leadership. And so if the president can find a way to make entreaties with rank-and-file House Republicans, most of whom are quite conservative, then I think it might even make the Speaker's job easier.
Well, it's fair to say he doesn't want to be the point man. I mean, isn't that really what he's been saying? Don't make me the point man. I politically can't do it.
It didn't work.
Right.
It didn't work, and so he changed strategies, and I think this is actually going to make his life a lot easier. And here's one thing I'll say for the Speaker's change. It does put more pressure on Harry Reid, because basically what would happen is the House would put out legislation. The president would say he'd veto it. Reid would say he would get rid of it, and then it just died.
And Jackie, that's the political motivation here. Is for the Republicans. Hey, make Senate Democrats take tough votes, make them vote for tax increases, all this stuff.
It could help them in 2014 as well.
But the fact is, it takes pressure off of Boehner.
Absolutely.
And Boehner, you know, if there is some bipartisan agreement that comes out of the Senate, Boehner has shown a willingness that if there is enough Republican support for something, he'll say, okay, let the House work its will. The entire House.
I think he has a chance to cobble back some of the power that was lost earlier this year. That, because as we all discussed, Boehner wasn't looking too great right before he became Speaker. Again, there was, you know, that the precarious floor vote that wasn't really. But you know what I'm talking about.
But there was
he seemed to lose some clout, and he's gaining it back. It's coming back, and this is another way to do that.
And Dave was saying he's pragmatic. This actually might get the deal done. Working with the Senate, you know, Bob Corker, Lindsey Graham, people who want to get a deal done. The 12 people the president met with may be more likely to agree to something, and you can bring it to the House later.
What is, you know, I found interesting is this second guessing we've seen some Democrats do of the White House strategy, that they basically made a huge miscalculation on sequester. The White House is almost openly admitting it by doing what they're doing now with Republicans. Fair to say?
I think we were all a little surprised that the Republicans did not buckle at all. I mean, the White House assumed, I think a lot of the press assumed, that the Republicans would not agree to large-scale defense cuts, but they have, and so that did force the White House to now change tactics, which is a smart thing. The tactics they were doing, the sort of campaign-style browbeating, wasn't working, so now he's moving toward a more conciliatory charm, as we call it, approach this time.
Is there any discomfort at all or nervousness among House Republicans that they are now tripling down on Medicare vouchers in a way that it is not clear? This is, you know, I heard Paul Ryan make the defense, hey, we won the senior vote, and you're like, but you're not winning on that issue.
Here's what I'd say, Chuck. I actually think that this is something that, by and large, the conference agrees with.
We know the conference agrees with it, yeah.
Right. We know how.
Not politically popular.
However, of all the reasons why Republicans lost in 2012, I don't think Medicare was one of them, and I think that Republicans understand this. Is there a little concern among some House Republicans that we know we're going to take this vote and we know it's going to die? Yes, but I think it's very important to Republicans that they continue to push this. It's the whole reason when they came into office in 2010, they said in 2011, why are we here? And for them to abandon this would be to abandon everything. And so I think it also gives them an extra negotiating chit when they end up in a conference committee, presumably now that the Senate is doing a budget.
Jackie, what's going to be also interesting about this, so we have the House budget this week, Senate budget this week. The White House then waits basically about a month till they unveil their budget. They can make the choice. How different is it from the Senate Democratic budget?
Right.
Whatever differences there are, it'll get magnified. Is it different from the left? Is it different from the right? Is it different on taxes? Different on entitlements? How they choose to use that ability to potentially start a conversation will be fascinating.
It will be, and also, I can't imagine they're not talking with Senate Democrats about this too. So some of these people who may not be able to vote for the Senate Democrats, your 2014ers, this will give them something to vote for. Still look like, I think there's a way to do this that still helps the party. I don't think they're going to present anything that's going to sabotage Senate Democrats.
Well, and Patty Murray's job is to compile, just like Paul Ryan's job is to get a budget that gets 218 Republicans, Patty Murray's job is to get a budget that gets at least 51 Democrats.
Exactly. You have to assume the White House budget will be to the left of the Senate Democratic budget because they can ask for higher tax cuts, close more loopholes, and try to.
So you assume that's what they try to do here a little bit.
Yes, they try to do is shape it to the left of the one that's going to be.
Where Patty's got to make sure she gets 51 Democratic votes because she's not going to get any Republican votes right now. Just like Paul Ryan knows he's not getting any Democratic votes. All right, when we come back, Ashley Judd. Is it the person that anybody in Washington actually wants to run against Mitch McConnell? That's the question after the break. Trivia time, we asked. Congressman Chris Van Hollen was born in Pakistan. How many other current members of the House of Representatives were born outside the United States? The answer is 6. Ron Barber, born in the UK. Diana DeGette, Japan. Jeff Davis, Canada. Jim Himes, Peru. Ileana Ross-Lehtinen and Albio Sierras were both born in Cuba. Congratulations to today's winner, a returning champion, Paul Axel. Email us a trivia question at dailyrundown@msnbc.com.